You're about to meet a guy who looked completely harmless, soft-spoken, polite, the kind of person you'd never suspect. But, oh, you have no idea what was hiding behind that calm face. This isn't fiction. This really happened. Today, we're diving deep into the chilling story of Jeffrey Dahmer. And trust me, you won't believe where this one goes. Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer was born on May 21st, 1960 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He wasn't the type to throw tantrums or get into fights. He was quiet, shy, almost invisible. But behind that calmness was curiosity. Not the build a model rocket kind. The other kind, the weird kind. He liked collecting animal bones. He'd take roadkill, dissect it, and study what was inside. Most kids ran away from that stuff. Jeff leaned closer, and right there, his darkness whispered for the first time. His parents? Always fighting. The house was filled with shouting, slammed doors, and tension thick enough to choke on. So little Jeff did what many lonely kids do. He retreated inward. Except his imagination didn't build castles, it built cages. By high school, he was already drinking, yes, in class. Classmates thought he was just the weird kid. He'd make strange jokes, talk to himself, laugh at nothing, and everyone just shrugged it off, because no one wants to believe that evil could be sitting next to them in biology class. After graduation, Jeff tried to go straight. College? Dropped out. Army? Got kicked out. He was drifting. No plan, no purpose, no real friends. Just a growing storm in his head. And then, one summer evening in 1978, that storm broke. He picked up a hitchhiker. Friendly chat, a few drinks, laughter echoing through the woods. And then, silence. Jeff didn't want the man to leave, so he made sure he couldn't. That was his first victim, and when it was over, he felt something terrifying. Relief. Like he'd finally scratched an itch he'd had for years. Oh, but it gets worse. After that, he tried to pretend it never happened. He moved in with his grandma, sweet church-going lady. He went to church with her, mowed her lawn, helped with groceries. Everyone said such a polite young man. Meanwhile, downstairs in the basement, things were happening. He had urges, and he was learning how to hide them. For a while, life went quiet again, but monsters don't stay buried. And by 1987, Jeffrey Dahmer was back at it. This time, smarter, more careful, more confident. He lured men to hotels, clubs, back to his place. And every time, he promised it'd just be a drink and a chat. But when they didn't leave, he felt powerful, he felt in control. And that's what he wanted most. Control. When his grandma asked about strange smells from the basement, Jeff smiled and said, "Oh, must be the plumbing." When neighbors asked why they never saw his guests leave, he joked, "Maybe I'm just bad company." They laughed. They didn't know they were standing next to a walking nightmare. Fast forward to 1990. Jeff finally got his own apartment in Milwaukee, apartment 213. And if walls could talk, those walls would scream. He started inviting people over, sometimes for photos, sometimes for dinner. But once they stepped through that door, the world would never see them again. Now, here's the part that makes your stomach turn. He'd drug his guests drinks. Then, he'd make sure they couldn't leave. He took pictures, lots of them, and he kept souvenirs. Let's just say his fridge wasn't stocked with milk and eggs. Neighbors complained constantly. "The smell is awful," they said. They even called the police once, and guess what Jeff told them? "Oh, my freezer broke. Just spoiled meat." And the police, they bought it. They literally stood outside a real-life horror scene and left. You won't believe this next part. One night, a 14-year-old boy escaped from Dahmer's apartment. Barefoot, bleeding, dazed. Neighbors called the cops, and when they arrived, Jeff calmly told them, "Oh, it's just my boyfriend. We had a little fight. He's drunk." The police laughed awkwardly, handed the boy back, and drove away. Within an hour, the boy was gone forever. That single mistake became one of the most haunting failures in law enforcement history. And still, Dahmer went on, for 13 years he lived this double life. Polite face by day, predator by night. He went to work, smiled at neighbors, even chatted with police officers. He looked so normal. That's what made him terrifying. Then came July 22nd, 1991. Another man, Tracy Edwards, escaped from apartment 213, handcuffed, terrified, and desperate. He flagged down a patrol car. The officers followed him back to the apartment. And what they found inside froze them in place. Polaroids, dozens of them, each one showing something unspeakable. A fridge with things no fridge should hold. Barrels filled with acid. A human head in the freezer. It was like stepping into a horror film, except it was all real. And there was Jeff. Calm, quiet. No fight, no struggle. He just said, "For what I did, I should be dead." That's the thing about Dahmer. He didn't scream or run. He confessed like he was talking about his weekend. Cold, flat, unshakable. When his trial began, the world couldn't look away. People filled the courtroom. Some wanted revenge. Others wanted answers. Was he insane? Did he understand what he was doing? The experts said yes. He knew exactly what he was doing. He wasn't a monster from the movies. He was one of us. Just broken in all the wrong ways. He got 15 consecutive life sentences. No parole, no freedom, no way out. You'd think the story ends there, right? Oh, but wait, it doesn't. Because even behind bars, Jeffrey Dahmer stayed. Jeffrey Dahmer. He made dark jokes with inmates. He mocked guards. He said things like, "Care for a little meat?" during lunch. He was untouchable until 1994. That's when another inmate decided to end the story. One morning in the prison gym, justice, or maybe karma, showed up with a mop handle. Dahmer was found lifeless in the bathroom. He didn't make it out alive. The man who ended him said later, "I did what the world couldn't." Was it justice? Poetic irony? You decide. Because Jeffrey Dahmer spent his whole life taking control of people, of fear, of death itself. But in the end, he lost control completely. And that's the strange symmetry of it all. The collector became the collected. The predator became the prey. The man who tried to preserve others couldn't even preserve himself. But maybe the real horror here isn't Dahmer himself. It's how easily he went unnoticed. How many people looked away? Teachers saw warning signs. Neighbors smelled death. Police literally walked into his apartment and left. How many chances did the world get to stop him? And didn't. That's the haunting question. Not how could he do it? But how did no one stop him sooner? Because Dahmer didn't grow up in a haunted house or an alleyway. He grew up on normal streets, played with normal kids, went to normal schools, and that's what makes it truly terrifying. Evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it smiles and says, "Hi, I'm Jeff." So, what's the lesson in all this darkness? It's simple. Pay attention. If something feels off, it probably is. Listen to your gut. Ask questions. Check in on the quiet ones. Because every "it's none of my business" could be the start of someone's nightmare. And the final twist? Jeffrey Dahmer wanted to be remembered forever. He craved control over death, over memory, over fear. And he got it. But not the way he wanted. Today, his name lives in documentaries, books, and whispers of true crime. He wanted power over others, but death got the last laugh. In the end, the man who wanted to preserve others couldn't even preserve his own legacy, because no one remembers his face anymore. Only the evil that wore it. That's irony, that's karma, and that's the chilling end of Jeffrey Dahmer.